What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Today on our 2019 Ram Rebel, we have our wheel spacers in. They're custom made to fit our aftermarket wheels, and for the Ram hub itself, everything should be hub centric, ready to go. So let's get this truck lifted up and get our wheels off, and let's hope everything fits. All right, so let's get one last look at our stance that we currently have. As you can see, everything is really far in on the front. And if we go to the rear, we have it basically exactly the way I want it. So everything is nice and flush, but it does stick out a little bit further than the front, which always kind of bothers me when I see this truck. From this angle, you can see probably the best how far in that wheel is. So by going out 1.5 inches, I hope we can match the front to the rear, and it should look exactly the way I want it to. So let's have a quick look at our new wheel spacers. They're made by a company called US Wheel Adapters. They're in Lubbock, Texas, so made in the USA. These are custom made to order. You can get ones that they have in stock, or you can send them your actual dimensions and they'll make you a set just like this. What I did is I measured the inside diameter of my wheel so I could have a hub-centric ring, basically just machined into the spacer itself. So everything is perfect. I mean, I guess it should be perfect according to what I sent them. Everything was right off of the XD website, so I don't have to run the plastic rings anymore, and we should have everything as a nice hub-centric spacer and achieve the stance that I hope is going to really work out for this truck. And hopefully we're not going to have to cut too much, or I mean, I think we might have to do a little trimming on maybe the mud flap or something like that. But let's get the wheel off, get our adapters put on, and then we can kind of see what we're working with. So the first thing you're going to want to do once you get your wheel off, grab your spacer. And when you order these from the website, they were already listed for the 2019 Ram. So I'm pretty confident that they knew the size of the hub already. And as you can see, those fit really nicely onto the hub. You don't have to push it on really hard or anything like that, but they do have a nice snug fit. Let's try our wheel. Try to hold that at the same time. As you can see, everything fits in there really nicely. We got the right dimensions. So now to install your spacer on the truck, they give you these lug nuts in the kit. As you can see, they go right through so your stud can stick out the end. And what you want to do is you want to measure your stud, make sure you get the right torque on it. And ours are 14 millimeter. An easy way to check that, just stick a wrench on there. You can see there's no movement there, so we know they're 14 mil. And in the instructions, they give you the torque specifications, so you know for what size of stud how much torque to use. And at 14 millimeter, we're 100 to 120 foot-pounds. I think I'm going to go a little on the higher side to hit that with 120, and we should be nice and tight. Just snug those up with our impact, and then we'll torque them down. And if you guys are wondering how to hold the hub from turning while you're torquing these, obviously you're not going to be able to just touch the tire on the ground like you would if you're going to tighten the lug nuts that go to the wheel. But this way works as well. I just put a post bar, have it touching the floor since I'm using the lift, and I'm able to just get onto the lug nuts themselves. You're going to have to use a chromie on these because it is a little bit tight to get in there, but as you can see, works really nice to torque it down, holds it really nicely without damaging the threads or anything like that. Or you can just have a buddy hit the brake pedal for you, and that would work as well. So as far as fitment goes, everything has been going well so far, but there is one issue that I did notice, and I kind of expected this. If you guys can see, there's about maybe a 1/16 of an inch. It's barely anything, but a little bit of the stud is sticking out. So now obviously if we put our wheel on, there's no relief there. This is going to interfere with our fitment from our wheel to the spacer. So what we're gonna have to do is I think I'm actually just gonna pull the ring off. It's gonna make things a little bit easier. So when I do have to shorten this a little bit with my grinder, this isn't gonna be in the way. I'm not gonna mess anything up. And it's gonna take a little bit off of the end of each stud. But as you can see, it is just a little bit of an extension there anyways. There's not really anything that's gonna affect the threads. So just gonna take maybe about a 1/16 of an inch off of each stud on the ends, and then we're going to be able to have that a nice flush fit, and our wheel's going to go all the way on like we want it to. All right, so we got everything ground down. Basically what I did is I just kind of zipped it down so it was flat, and then just kind of went a little bit further, just enough so we can clear. And I took my straight edge and made sure that everything was below this surface here, and now we can put our wheel on and see what our stance is going to be like. Well, everybody, I think we have achieved what I'm trying to do here. As you can see, we just have that little bit of our side tread kind of poking out from the bumper, but we're still within on our top tread, which is going to keep us all legal, everything like that, and keep all the stuff that's going to fly off the tires from going all over the truck. And I think we've basically copied what we have in the rear. You kind of see like this angle right there. We do have a even stance front and rear. That's exactly why I put these spacers on. So now I got the truck back on the ground. The suspension needs to settle a little bit yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to fire up the truck, turn the wheel all the way one way, and just kind of see how our clearance is and see what we got to trim out to make everything not rub. So now with the mud flap removed, you can see this is just what it comes with the factory. Got this little lip right here, which is all plastic. You can feel up in behind here. You do have a little bit of room before we get to any kind of metal. But I think we're just gonna trim this out just a little bit here. Then we'll trim it out on the mud flap, put the mud flap back on, and hopefully that's everything we need to cut out of this thing. So as you can see here, I got my hole cut out of my mud flap. Basically what I did is just turn the wheel all the way and then just kind of mark the area with a paint marker so you can see the area where you need to cut out. And now this is what you're gonna see with a truck without mud flaps. You do have this little piece right here. And the nice thing about this is you can just slide it towards yourself, and this whole piece comes off, so if you need to cut it, it's a lot easier to do when it's off the truck. Just these two little tabs right here. It's a couple of clips that it slides onto, and you can get this off as long as you have this little push pin, which is removed when I take my mud flaps off. And then we're just gonna trim this guy up, and then there's a little bit to trim on our inner fender, and we should be clearanced up. And if not, we can always clear a little bit more out later, but this is kind of just our initial test to see how this is all gonna work out. All right, so now we've got everything trimmed. I think I'm probably gonna have to trim a little bit more, but I wanted to cut a little bit out, and then I can kind of see where it rubs, and then I can trim that out as well, and then we can kind of fine tune it that way. But for now, what we're gonna do, take the truck for a little drive, make sure we don't have any vibrations or anything like that, kind of see how it handles with the spacers on, and then bring it back, and I'm gonna tighten up the lug nuts one last time, make sure everything's nice and torqued. And they do recommend after 25 miles to re-torque the spacers as well. I'm not sure if they meant the wheels or if they meant the spacers, but I think I'm gonna have to pull them off anyway because I might want to do a little bit of detailing in there as far as painting. I might paint the spacers, but I wanted to make sure that they worked good first, and I might be doing something with the calipers as well. So let's get in the truck and go for a little ride. And look at that, just the difference I can see already just makes this truck look so much more aggressive. I just really hated how narrow that front stance was. And even if we had to cut a little bit out, I think this is 110% worth it. It looks so much better. So first impressions, it actually drives better now with the spacers than it did before. We do have an extra 1.5 inches on either side now, and it's just putting the front tires in line with the rear, and it does track along the road much nicer than before. And I did notice that the tire noise is actually less now than before, which is also a good thing. And it just feels more planted on the road with that wide track that we have in the front now. And also, it's really nice that it has no vibrations. I have no issues with this product whatsoever. Everything seems to be high quality. The only problem I really had with them is the fact that it did take them about 3 times as long as it says on their website to get it all delivered. But either way, a good product in the end is always a good thing, and we should be good to go for many years to come. And yes, there is a tiny little bit of rubbing, which I kind of expected because while I didn't trim a whole lot out, and as the suspension settled, there is a little bit to trim. I probably have to go about 1/4 inch higher than what I've already kind of got cut out there, but not really a big deal. We'll get that all figured out, and then I'm gonna put some rubber behind there to plug that hole off, and this project should be all finished up as far as the wheels and tires and stance goes, and I think it looks absolutely awesome. So I found a couple of hitchhikers. What do you guys think of the new spacers on the truck?
Great!
Yeah? Does it make it look a little bit nicer?
Yeah, but I like my baby. She's so cute.
You like your baby better than the truck?
No, but I like baby because she's so cute.
Oh, okay.
And I love love you so much, Daddy. And she
Oh,
loves
thank
her
you.
kitty too.
Thank you for coming, girls.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
So there it is, everybody, our 1.5-inch wheel spacer install, and we do have a little bit of trimming to do, and I want to take these wheels off anyway to do a little bit of detail work as far as our brakes go, but that's gonna have to wait till another day. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and as always, keep that hammer down.